Trade and Perform Coaching, and coming off a really nice Thursday, really a good trading day. And it all started from, right, how we set this day up coming into the day. We knew this morning, and I'm going to jump right into it. We knew this morning that we were going to have a large gap down, right? When we have a large gap down, right, the first thing, or a gap up, the first thing I'm looking for right out of the gate is it going to be trend day up or not? And when I see a candle, right, I see a gap down, and then I see a candle that looks like this right here, guys. I'm just going to kind of want to step you through. I'm already thinking right here, I am thinking trend day down. This is from 1830 down to 1824 in the first 4 minutes. Not much of a stronger sign than gap down than another 6-point long liquidation, right? That we are having you have to be thinking very strongly trend day down. And as a matter of fact, in the first couple of minutes, when we came back up, I said that I would call out the zero tick trade, and I did to the best of my ability, right? And usually with the zero tick, I don't take very much heat. I ended up taking it near, I believe it was 1825 is where I took my entry. And again, I'm tired, so I don't have exactly all my facilities. I just got done coaching 2 guys, so this is essentially my 3rd session here, and I'm a little tired. But I took the trade right here, and I did take some heat, right? But I called out, this is my entry. I put a 4-point stop. I usually don't take any heat on these trades. I did take some heat here, but I stayed cool, never got to my stop. What was the key to me surviving this thing? It's once I decided what my stop was, whether you decide, where you decide and when you decide is totally up to you. I decided before the market even opened what my stop was going to be and that I was going to take this trade. I had announced that in the market preview, and that video, by the way, is right below this trade review. You can go there and look. So looking at the entry here, right, there's never need for me to panic, freak out, or do anything else. I'm either going to get stopped for 4 points or I'm going to get paid for my 2-point scale and leave a trailer. One of the 2 things are going to happen, right? And let me explain what is key about that. Key in that is I'm no longer trying to figure it out, right? I'm not watching every tick. I'm not sweating every tick. I've accepted I'm going to lose either $200 a contract, or I'm going to make at least on a portion of this, at least $100 a contract, right? And trail on down. So that is part of the key to my consistent success is I'm not sweating my stops. And I'm not sweating my stops because I've built spreadsheets and statistical models that tell me that my trade entries have a high rate of success when I enter in this fashion, and that I can go back and look through a long history, not just weeks or months, but actually years, and see time after time after time that these trades are successful 70% or more of the time, right? And like I was saying the other day, I wasn't saying anything. I'm tired, like I said. I was watching a show the other day, and they were talking about professional quarterbacks. And they were talking about, if you can hit 70% of your passes, you were just way off the charts in terms of your success rate, right? And it doesn't matter whether you experience that in high school, college, or if you're lucky in the pros, right? It's the same situation here. I know that most of my trades have a 70% or better success rate. Most of the time, I'm sitting in that 80% area, right? And so I enjoy a huge amount of success, and I don't worry about the ones that don't work. And anyone can do that. I assure you, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. There's no question in my mind that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. And that's my edge, is I acknowledge that ahead of time. Moving on. Anyways, I sat patiently through this trade. I clearly got my first scale. Now, here was the deal. I've gotten a little bit busy with some of my coaching clients during the day. I'm going to take steps to reduce the amount of talk that I have during the first hour. But I missed my entry long here. These were valid entries longs. I pointed out with a proper rotation right out of the gate. I said I would not be taking a trade here because there simply was not enough rotation in this zone. And I said that in the pre-market market preview. I did, however, say I would take a trade here. I missed my entry. However, I did get my scale. I didn't get my entry. It was a successful trade. If you measured from 1828, right, which was the swing high, you take out 6 points. 1822 gave you first time into the zone here. If you can see it here, and I'll erase this. 1822, this is the first time into the zone, and it gave you a rotation. Either, I'm not sure if it bounced straight out and gave you the 2 points here, or if it gave you the 2 points right here. But either way, you got your 2 points, you got your scale, and you were able to get out quite easily. First time into the zone, that's all you had to focus on, right? Everything else, you could leave it alone. We spent in excess of 25 minutes in this zone here. Kind of gave you a warning as these bounces were getting smaller and smaller in a trend day context that we were going to blow through. Also, another thing that I wanted to point out here, right? The first hour, if you'll notice, these rotations came pretty close to 9:30. This one was a little bit prior, but I also said after 9:30 a.m., right? The short side tends not to be as easy. A lot of times between 9:30 and 10:30 a.m., you find responsive buyers. And if you'll notice in that period of time, but yes, while we did push down, we also found responsive buyers that pushed back up. This was a hard place to initiate a short down here, right? Much more difficult than it was up here, where really once we got below, it was really pretty much a free ride to the downside. Moving on and looking for other comparisons, right? What's the other thing that I said I would be keen off of in the morning? I said I would key off of NQ. Let's go take a look at NQ really quick. I apologize, I didn't have this chart complete by the time we get to the open. I'm exhausted right now. I'm going to try and go ahead and get the NQ and ES charts set up for tomorrow and kind of go from there and hopefully have all this filled in before the open. But if you look, I apologize, if you look, right, gap down, and we went straight into a sell-off. This is not what most reversal days look like at all. That is the beginning of a trend day down, right? The other thing that I pointed out in the market preview, by the way, skipping over here to the end of the day, in this huge counter rotation up, I was a little off on this zone down here. We were close, but no cigar, right? A couple of things. First of all, if you'll go through the clients that go through the coaching class, a lot of times I'll key off of my NQ entries off of the ES zones independent of the NQ zones, right? That's the first thing. The other thing that I want to point out, and it's really, really important. First of all, I said in the afternoons, right, the typical pattern, even in bear markets, right, is that we'll open, we'll get a slight push up on a down day, then we'll roll down, and then by the end of the day, we get a roll back and close somewhere from the half to the bottom third. In this case, we pushed all the way back. If you'll go back and look again at the market preview, right, I pulled up an example of just a couple of days ago, and I said I would not be surprised at all to see us have a day like this. And I don't know how else to set someone up for success other than to point out these patterns happen over and over and over again. Just the other day, right, look at the time frame. It was a little bit later time frame, after 9:30, right? That's the key, where we usually find reversals. And we came down and we rolled all the way back up to the high of the day, okay? Markets do not repeat, but they often rhyme. Guys, look at this. This is the same pattern. Man, they just smoked the same set of people again. We opened down. They took it all the way back to the high and squeezed it at the end of the day. I don't know if there was news right after the close. Still haven't caught up looking at that. But, guys, this pattern, I called this in the morning. I don't know how else to say it. Do not short. Shorting a bull market in the hole, right, is a stupid idea. It works 1 out of 10 times or 2 out of 10 and smokes you every other time. Unless you can do it with precision through scalping methods down in this area, right? This 10:30 to 1 o'clock area tends to be the hardest time to make a trade work. Secondly, and you tend to find responsive buyers between this 9:30 and 10:30 a.m. framework. Also, I pointed out, if you'll go look at my Twitter stream and on the stock Twitch stream, I pointed out right about here, when we were making new lows in ES, right in this area, I said out loud, there's a positive divergence between ES and NQ. So you've got to be able to pick up on the small clues and make adjustments to your trade plan as you're walking along. But no adjustment was necessary, right? I pretty much pointed out, hey, this is a highly, I didn't call that we closed back at a new high for the day, but big retrace in the afternoon is highly, highly common. You got to know what patterns work in the market, right? And I'm not talking AB equals CD, just basic everyday, hey, this is the pattern that's showing up 90% of the time. Take advantage of it, man, and put the money in your pocket. Anyways, moving on. Let's go back to ES for a moment here. I'm getting a little excited for being the only man in the room, but that's what happens when you start off at 5 in the morning and you're still going at, 6 at night. You get a little bit on the tired side of life. So looking at again, going back to that 1 o'clock, I pointed out here that we were getting positive divergences between ES and NQ. This is also the first time, this move right here is the first time into the zone. I tweeted out right here, I'm going to reconstruct this for you, right in this area, that we were consolidating above this zone. I had a limit order sitting right here at 16 3/4, and I said I was pulling my bid, my attempt to bid into the market, but that I would take a long. I was simply moving my order deeper into the zone. When we got right here, 15 3/4, I took my long. My stop was 2 points behind the zone, which essentially put the stop 12 3/4, right? That was it. That's all I had to do. Now, if you'll look, this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes right here in this zone. And I've gone over this with my coaching clients. I've gone over this in market previews. You have to make a choice here. You can either, one, simply close the trade at 25 minutes because it increases the likelihood of failure after 25 minutes. Two, bring your stop down to the swing low, which is what I chose to do, right? Or three, if you have a profit, simply take your profit and close out. I simply brought the stop down. I finally got my 2-point scale. I believe it was right here, 18 3/4. And then eventually, as we creeped up here, I took, it was right here, and then I moved my stop up to my entry, which was 15 3/4, right? And I let the rest ride. I had a scale heat right here at 20 1/4. And then I said eventually my target was going to be 26, which I think we actually hit after hours or came close to it. I closed the last of the position right here at 22 and change right at the back of this zone. Okay, so this is how I make money on a regular basis. And more importantly, if you go back and look at the last couple of days that were frustrating, the key to those days was I did not dig a deep hole. I was pretty much flat to slightly up on each of those days with this particular method, right? I'm not talking about my scalps that I take in NASDAQ, CL, or GC. I'm simply talking about this particular execution methodology, right? Secondly, I had a few pieces of feedback of, hey, you didn't call out the trades. Well, first of all, I did call out. Every trade I took today, I actually called out, right? But even if I didn't call out, right, what did I say? Good rotation of a minimum of 6 points, right? Trend day down. If you're looking for a reversal to make it stick, the sticks generally come after 9:30 to 10:30 in the morning. That doesn't mean you can't take a long. It simply means you need to make a decision that if you do take a long, you need to be cognizant that, right, zones can get busted before this hour. Hell, they can get busted after this hour. There's no reason, right? There was no way that I knew that this zone was going to hold. All I knew was that I had odds. I had the market very stretched at this point. I had great trade location that was planned prior to the open, right? You don't need me to call it out. You should. The whole point of this is so that you don't need me. I'm trying to eliminate everyone's need for me, right, to identify a trade so that you can identify it on your own, right, and work these charts and these trading decisions on your own and have confidence within yourself. And you don't have to worry about having confidence in me one way or the other, okay? So I called the zero tick trade in here, okay? I missed this trade, called it out afterwards. I had several of my clients capture this trade and get their 2 points. Congratulations to those guys. Well done. Good job, right? This is second time into the zone back here. We've already rotated out. This is third time into the zone. Trend day down, man. These are bad trade ideas coming in here if you're taking second and third shots. This is first shot into the zone. It gave you a little bit of heat behind the zone, but not much, a few ticks. And then bam, look at that beautiful rotation. You can't get any better. Add to it, and I'm sorry if I'm tired, so I hope I'm not going over the same thing. The positive tick divergence in NQ. The market is massively stretched. This thing works like a rubber band, guys. It snaps most days. And then you've got your key pattern, right? What did I say? We open up. We tend to press up a little bit, roll down. Then we find responsive buyers, and we tend to close at the lower half to third. In this particular case, we just decided to hell. We're just going to roll right back on up to the top. That happens some days, and that's cool. Those are big paydays for trailers. One other thing that I want to point out. Most of my clients, and for myself, the majority of the time, I take out of most of my zones 2 points. However, I do highlight areas where I am willing to let trailers run. Okay, and I think I pointed out today that this was going to be one of those areas that I would let trailers run from. Okay? But if your plan says take 2 points, take 2 points. You can't go, well, I'm going to take 2 points here, right? But, oh, I should have held, right? Because that puts you in agony. The same guy who said I should have taken my 2 points here, right? If he didn't take his 2 points here because he thought it was going to run from here, he ended up either break even or with a stop 2 points behind the zone. Ended up not making money. And my point to that is that as a trader, you put yourself in a terrible position by not having your defined entries, exits, and stops and exactly how you're going to handle it before the market ever opens. But if you can move to a methodology where you have all of that predefined for you and you're actually watching the market and you can catch the small nuances, that only improves your trades, but more importantly, your anxiety will be reduced, your fear will be reduced, your excitement levels will be reduced, and you'll become so much of a better trader than if you're constantly trying to analyze, reanalyze, and try to figure it out. Because you know what? There's no damn clue. There's no way in hell, okay, I knew taking this trade that this zone would hold, other than I've done it hundreds of times and it's held hundreds of times. That's it. That's the secret. Okay? First time in gives me high odds. That's all I know. Scaling is all I know. And with a little luck from the market gods, that made this into a very nice trade on the last third of this particular trade. I knew that I had a good chance of getting a swing back up into the 2022 area. So anyways, my name is Simon. I'm with Trade and Perform Coaching. We have broken out of balance, right? And we'll see tomorrow morning if we fall right back into balance. It's a very interesting market. Days like today are gold mines. You just got to learn how to take advantage of them. And days like the previous 5 days where we're chopping, you just got to learn to hit and run. Keep your losses very small if you're taking losses, right? And accept that some days you may not have trades, and that's okay. Not a big deal. Anyways, if you have any questions, you can email me at tradeandperform@gmail.com. There are no more coaching spaces. I am totally booked up. If you are interested, you're welcome to contact me. You can get on the waiting list. Not a big deal. It's kind of on a first come, first served basis. As one person drops out, another person adds back in. Everyone's welcome to join me in the morning market previews. I do them every day at 8 a.m. I hope this helped everyone out there. If you have any questions, feel free to fire away. We'll talk to you soon.